Aloha, this is Thomas Mohbat with Recording Studio Forum. I'm here today to go over my new Zoom F8n Pro. This is a multi-track field recorder, 32-bit float recording that I purchased this year. For years I was using a different unit, the Tascam Portacapture X8. If you watched my previous videos, you'll know a lot about that. I went into it pretty extensively and covered it in depth. I used it for 2 or 3 years, mostly on concert recordings. I used it on 2 independent films, all kinds of sound effects and stuff like that, recorded on it, ambient recordings. It was a really handy unit. I loved it. I carried it around in my little trusty Swiss Army bag. I've still got it in there as a backup unit. I use it infrequently now, but it's quite handy to pop out and use if I just want a 2-track recording or something like that and don't need 8 channels. So if you'd like to check that out, I'll leave a link to it for you. If that's a unit you're considering purchasing, it's a great price. About $300 gets you started with that. And there's a lot of peripherals and cords. But I decided this year that my film work was getting a little bit more extensive and I needed something a little bit more professional. Not that the recording quality of the Tascam was anything but great, and I had great results and never had any problems with Tascam. But I had several reasons why I wanted to get into the Zoom F8n Pro, least of which was not that I needed timecode. It's really essential to have timecode if you're using more than one camera. Frequently I would do concerts using 2 or even 3 cameras, and to get all those to sync up in your editor, it took a lot of time. It was really hard to sync up everything based on waveform, and it wasn't always that trustworthy. You had to have good audio recorded into each of the cameras. If it didn't match up, it wouldn't sync up. So I got tired of that hit or miss approach and decided that I needed to get some time code going. You can do it with Tascam Portacapture. It's a little bit convoluted. You have to put a little Bluetooth chip in the Tascam unit and then buy a couple different units from Atmos. One to generate SMPTE timecode, and then another box from Atmos to send that SMPTE timecode via Bluetooth to the Tascam chip in the Portacapture. It was, going to cost a few $100 just to do that, and I said, let me get into something more professional where I can add as many cameras timecode boxes as I need, and that's something that I'll discuss a little bit later with you. But that timecode is really essential to making editing take less time. Otherwise, you're going to spend hours just trying to get your clips to sync up, and you're not having any fun editing or having good times like that. That's probably the main reason I got the F8n Pro. One of the other reasons is obviously I get a couple extra channels to record on, and this has 8, so I get 2 extra channels here, which is great. The VU is really nice on it. It's a very durable and roadworthy unit. There are other devices out there, as you probably know, from sound devices, which get pretty pricey. If you're looking at getting 8 channels, you're pushing the $2,000 range. I think it comes in just under about $2,000 for an 8-track. This, for about half the price, you can get all the features, or at least most of the features, and a couple others that I don't think the sound devices has. The main objection there for me was the price. I'm not doing professional film work every day. I don't work on big sets and crews. I'm not going out there doing professional documentaries. So I'm not really at that level. And I think a lot of us are probably at a level where we don't need something quite that expensive and professional. If you do, and you are doing that kind of stuff every day, by all means, look into it, bust the sound devices out, and you'll be in great shape. They're great devices. But this seemed to be the best value for the money. Next to the Portacapture, which was about $300, this is about $1,000. And it is indeed 32-bit float. That's the other big thing that I had to have besides a good price. The Tascam was also 32-bit float. I love 32-bit float recording. I'm not going to go too into it right now. There's a lot of videos about what 32-bit float is, but suffice it to say that if your levels are clipping, you can bring them back down in post and save them, or by the same token, if your levels are recorded really low, you can boost them up without introducing too much noise to your recording. So look into 32-bit float if you're not familiar with that. It's something I'd highly recommend, especially for people that are in a hurry. Most of us are one-man guns, one-man shows, and we need to set up quickly. You're often kind of doing sound almost as an afterthought. you're setting a couple cameras and getting all that lighting and everything happening. And then you got to set up a sound, a couple microphones for sound or some lavs real quick. And you don't have a lot of time to fuss around with that because you are the sound man. You don't have a guy just watching that. Also, you don't have to watch levels so carefully. You can kind of set it and forget it and not worry about it too much. You still want to get a good level recording, but you shouldn't have to worry about peaking or dipping out too much. It's really great, especially if you're doing multi-tracks, quick setups. There's a couple predecessors to this. There's the F8, then there was the F8n, and this is the most recent one, the F8n Pro, which is the one you want to get. I wouldn't mess around with the earlier models, mainly because they don't have the 32-bit float recording. This is the first model that does, and you want to get the others. You can find them for a little bit less, but you're not going to get the same bang for your buck as you do here. Let me pull the box out of the way and get the unit on the table here. Here we go. And the first thing you're going to probably notice is that it's in a bag. For years I was using my kind of a attaché case, my old Swiss Army bag that I bought for papers and files, but it turned out to work great for the old Portacapture. And I still keep that in there. It's all in there the same as it always has been, and I keep some cords and connectors in there as well in case for some reason my Zoom F8 crashes or doesn't work, or I forget it, or something like that, and I'm far away from home. I've always got this handy just in case, so I can break it out and at least have 6 tracks of recording and maybe be able to save the day that way. So that Portacapture really does the trick there. It's a great backup unit, and like I said, if you just want to set up for a quick recording of a concert or a coffee house or something like that, it's much smaller, easier to put on a tripod, a couple mics, hit it and record, and you're good to go. But if you're doing something more elaborate, you're going to want to get something like this. Instead of rigging up something in an attaché case, I decided to go ahead and purchase something. This is the OR-272 bag from Orca. You've probably seen Orca devices before. You see them a lot on film crews. They're very professional, well-made bag. They look great. And this particular one, the 272, is designed to work perfectly with the F8n Pro. Orca makes a lot of bags, and they make them for other sound devices. They make them for all kinds of units, so make sure you get the right one. Make sure you get the one for the F8n Pro, and you'll have no problems with that in terms of mounting it in there, the way it fits. I'm not one of those guys that has a whole lot of lav mic packs and batteries that I need to carry around in a big, heavy thing. I like to travel light, and I don't want to be carrying around a big, heavy bag all day, because that really is hard on your back and just wears you out a lot more quickly on a long shoot if you have to carry it. So don't get something bigger than you need. All I needed was something that would carry around the F8 and a battery. And in the front, I've got a couple lavs that I'm going to show you here as I go over this bag. So the bag came in at about 125 bucks. I think you can get them on Amazon or B&H. It's got a nice little cover on it here. If you're getting a little bit of light rain or snow and you want to keep on going, you can just kind of take off one side and operate it like that. You can still see the buttons and get your hand in there without getting the unit itself exposed to the rain or elements. So I really love that, especially here in Hilo. It rains frequently on shoots. It gets kind of misty here. That's another thing. We'll get this not really heavy rain, but just constant mist that just sort of gets on the unit, and I'm not sure it's very good for it. So this is great for that. You can also kind of roll it back out of the way like that if you want. Or you can also kind of use the Velcro to your advantage and stick it on the back side, and that'll keep that from flopping around like that. You see? But if it's not raining or it's not looking like raining, I'll just take it off entirely like so, and just put that someplace safe in case it does start to rain, so you can get to it quickly. And there's the unit itself. It's a pretty compact, nice little unit. It's really tough. I'm not going to take it out of the bag right now, but trust me, it's a nice, tough, pretty much all metal chassis. Some of the buttons and things are plastic, but the main rotary button is metal. The toggle switch is metal. Really solid unit. It's got these nice little Velcro straps that come with it, so you can really get that thing in there tight using the attachment bars on the unit. One thing I've noticed when I'm walking quickly or running around behind a cameraman with a boom mic is you don't want the thing shaking around and making noise. It's one of the problems I had before with my other attaché case for the Portacapture. It was kind of noisy when you start running. It's kind of clunky. There's a lot of loose stuff going on. This doesn't have any of that. It's super quiet and ninja. So I love the size of this case. It comes with a strap as well. Basic strap, and you just clip that on there and there. This strap's nothing special. You could get better straps for sure. You could probably use something you already have, but you want a comfortable strap, or at least put a towel. Something I'll do is I'll put a towel around my neck and then put the strap over that so it doesn't dig into your neck or shoulder all day. Plus, if it's a hot day, it'll kind of help you with keeping from getting too sweaty. The unit is really easy to get inside. On each side, it's got these two zippers. You just pull those zippers down. It's really nice double zipper kind of thing, and you just pull that down. That'll expose all the inputs and outputs on each side. You can also zip it all the way around to the bottom if you need to. That way you can get in underneath if you need to get in there. Which you won't frequently have to do. Once you've set up your cables, you probably won't have to go back down in there, but you can totally get down in there if you need. Easy to zip back up. If you have a cable going in there, it's really easy to kind of zip it up and just have that one cable coming out. That's what I'll usually do for a boom mic, is just have it zipped up. So I can get one cable, one XLR cable in there. I don't know if you can see in there or that, but that's the XLR input that I'll use. You can see it's also a 1/4 inch input, which is great. One of the things I really like about this unit is you can plug in 1/4 inch or XLR. Real solid connectors. The locking mechanism. Yeah, one thing I wanted to say is I'm not really going to go and cover all the bells and whistles of this unit. It's not an extensive video on all the ins and outs of this unit. I'm going to try to go over some of the features that I really use a lot and aren't really covered in other videos. So this is kind of more of a real world situation. I'm assuming you might have a little bit of understanding about the unit already and understand how to operate it. If you don't and you need that, you can obviously go to the Zoom website and download the full user manual, the PDF. I recommend downloading that and reading that for sure. Read that cover to cover so you really understand all the bells and whistles of the unit. There's also a bunch of good YouTube videos on the unit, notably a series from Curtis Judd, who did a great deep dive on the unit. I think he even offers a class for sale that you can purchase if you want to do that. I didn't do that. I just found that I got enough information from his free videos that really got me going there. And of course, just trial and error in the field. And that's really what I wanted to go over today, some of the things that I found out about it in real world usage that I wasn't aware of until I started using it, and some of the little problems that I might have had. Those are the kind of things you figure out when you start using a unit for real. So do look into those videos if you'd like to find out more. Let's dive into the bag a little bit more here. On the bottom, you can unzip these and it'll open up. See the bottom of the unit. One thing you'll see right away is I've got some foam padding in there. I did put a couple pieces of foam. You can also purchase something like that from Orca. I think they've got some pad blocks that you can insert here, but this is just regular, inexpensive foam to pad the bottom of the unit and kind of hold some of the cables in place from clacking around, as I described. You won't need to go down here very often, except if you're changing out the batteries. Just show you the battery compartment real quick. This unit's great. Oh, it's also got a mount on the bottom there too, if you need to attach that to a tripod or anything like that. You've got a screw there. So this opens up and exposes the battery department. And right down here, you've got a little BNC locking cable right there. That's where my Timecode goes in right there. Make sure that's tightened down real tight. It's really nice because it won't come off. Locks. And there's some extra padding. So you really don't need to come down here very often unless you're making those connections or if you need to get to your battery box. So you can see that opens up quickly so you can get to your, not 1, not 2, not 4, but 8 AA batteries. You can use rechargeable lithium batteries as well. It doesn't really seem to matter too much which type of battery you use. You see I've got kind of a mix match of batteries in there right now, but they all keep the unit powered. Also some nice little rubber feet. If you do have this on a desktop or something like that, it'll keep it in place. So let me shut that down. I'm going to go into power a little bit more in a minute, but I just want to show you the different compartments right now. Additionally here, speaking of power, I've got my, let me pull this back so you can see it. I've got my power supply. I don't rely on the AA batteries to power this unit. It'll last a couple of hours, but if you're really doing a longer shoot than that, or using phantom powered microphones, which I do typically 2 or 3 phantom powered mics, they'll drain those batteries very quickly. So you don't want to be operating much on those AA batteries. You want to get into something like this. This is just a simple USB power supply. This one's from Anker. You've probably seen this before. It's a really nice unit. It's smooth around the corners. It's compact and fits easily in my pocket. They're relatively cheap. I purchased this. I walked into Walmart, I believe, and you can purchase these back in electronics. I think it came in at about 80 bucks. Here in Hawaii, we can't get these kind of things shipped to us. Lithium batteries, camera batteries. It's tricky to get them in here. They're very careful about them in cargo on planes. So I like Anker. They seem to be pretty much top of the heap. I put a couple strips of soft Velcro on the back, so I'm able to mount this to cameras, tripods, booms, just about anything. So I recommend getting some good Velcro for that. I love this little guy. It takes a while to charge up, but once you've got it charged up, it lasts a long time. And it fits really nicely here in the back of this bag. It just straps right under there. I use the second strap. It's not quite long enough to go all the way through there, but you really don't need to. And I put the USB cable under that. Whoops. And that kind of keeps that from coming undone. And then, whoops, I've got that backwards, as I always do. Put that in like that. And you've got 2 USB plugs there. You can use that other one for something else if you need. Maybe to charge your lavs, something like that. One of the things I found was this handy dandy little triple USB charger. That's something you can use. It was about 8 bucks for 2 of these, and it splits the USB cable. Splits the USB cable onto 4 different USB-Cs. So that's handy that I can plug that into the other side of that USB charger, and then use this to charge. What I'll use this for is to charge my Rodes. My Rode, when I go for a lunch break or something like that, I can plug these into my battery, and those will charge right off that battery. You see they're charging now. So that's a real quick way, and I can do the transmitter as well, and I've got enough to charge my phone as well. So that'll of course bring the battery life down on the USB battery a little faster. But these things, I'm telling you, they last all day. So that's a cable that I recommend getting, especially if you don't have access to power supplies. One of the first things you want to be careful of when you turn on the unit is that it defaults to the AA battery. So you can see there at the top that it is showing that it's operating off of AA batteries. So you don't want to do that. That's going to drain your batteries. The first thing you want to do is make sure that your USB power is obviously plugged in. Unfortunately, you need to turn on the USB battery just by pressing the button. It'll just go blue like that, showing that it's completely charged. And right away, that's going to click over to, as you can see now, it's going to external. So be careful that you make sure that your battery is turned on. I wish that was automatic. I wish the battery just saw that the unit was turned on and it would turn itself on, but it doesn't. At least this model doesn't. Take a second to make sure your battery's turned on and you're not draining your AA batteries. Once you've done that and you turn the power off, power down, it always says goodbye, bye Zoom. When you turn it back on, instead of going to the AA batteries, it's going to go right to the external. So it does remember that the external. You just got to make sure that battery's on. Okay. And you'll see also that although the unit is not playing or recording, it is internally generating timecode, SMPTE timecode right there. Once you've got that adjusted, you can close this back flap. There's also a nice little place down here, little side pocket where you can store other things, cables. I've got the shortcuts menu from the Zoom website. There's a whole bunch of shortcuts you can use to do things like advance the scene, moving takes, open the user scene name. As you can see, there's a lot of little shortcuts there using the stop button and one of the track numbers, the track arms. I'll show you a couple of those that I use. I don't use too many of them, but there's a couple that come in real handy. And I just printed that out, and I'll keep that in the back little pocket there in case I need to reference it. Once you've got your battery in there securely, the cables like you want it, you can zip it up, and you won't have to go in there again until you want to charge up the battery. This is the Orca 272. Okay, right there, the little tag to show you. Gear in motion. That it is. This bag is always in motion. I love the feel and look of it too. It's nice blue, and it gets a lot of good looks on the set too. People see that and they think, oh, this guy's got a real sound bag. Unlike my old bag, which people thought I was from the Hilo ghetto. Thanks for watching. I appreciate the support. I hope this has been helpful for you, and I look forward to seeing you on the next video. Aloha and shoots.